Welcome to the next session on database management system, database engineering course. This session is about data processing. Right? In a previous session, we have discussed about data. We have discussed about information. So data is nothing but raw facts, and processed data is called as information. So now, as we see the processed data, so we should understand what you mean by data processing, right? So data processing occurs when data is collected, okay, and it has to be translated into some usable informations. So in the last class, we have seen that we had a set of data like the number of milk in each day we are storing in a particular calendar, and at the end we try to use the data in order to find out how many liters of milk that we have actually have taken in the month, what is the total amount of money in the budget that you have set. So actually, data processing is this. We are collecting the data and then translating the data into a usable information. Usually, this data processing is done by data scientists or team of data scientists, and it is to be holistically look into it that whatever processing we are doing need to be very correct. Otherwise, it may have a negative, effect into the end product. Okay, or we can say to be the output also. What does it mean? Actually, if you're not able to understand how exactly the data has to be processed in which particular way and what is required, then is that at the end what will happen? Whatever product we are making, we may not be successfully get that, or whatever desired output we are looking for, we may not get it. So data processing plays a very important role, so that we need to correctly process this data itself. Okay. So when you say about data processing, some of the steps that we need to understand are this. So data processing, as I was telling you, initially we need to collect the data, right? We need to record the data. Yes, if required, the data need to be sorted. Okay, it has to be classified based on some kind of criteria and all. Then the data can be used for calculation. You have seen we have seen in the last example also that how we are retrieving the data, how we are summarizing that particular data, and we are communicating the data. So we'll see each of these uh, uh, steps of data processing. So let's start with data collection. Data collection means we are collecting the data. We were collecting the data from the internet. We were collecting the data from other sources and all. Okay, or it may be something like some data are previously stored, and we are collecting it, or someone else data are also we are reusing it, or sometime if required we are processing the data. So we need to have a certain set of plan in order to collect this data. What are procedure or the methods that we should have in order to collect this particular data. Like in this particular course, we are not going into the more details about how exactly we collect the data and all, right? Just you need to understand when you talk about collection of data, we are actually collecting data which may be from the internet, other source. Someone may be have using the data, we are reusing that, we are processing the data. Somewhere the data may be stored, we are collecting the data itself. So that is what is the data process collections is about. Okay. Next is recording. When you talk about recording, typically I have given a picture here. So we have sing a song, and we are storing that particular song, right? And in an MPEG file, and we are listening to that. Same way, data need to be stored, right? So we are writing a data and we are preserving the data. It may be in a set of form, it may be set of in a document, or there may be some kind of figures and all, or some calculating facts and all these things. So data has to be stored. So that is what data recording is, so that in the later part of that particular data can be easily be used. Next comes is the sorting. So we know what exactly sorting means. We are talking about it arranging a set of data, right? So we need to have a set of arranging of the data, because once you do it, it becomes very easy for us to understand, easy for us to analyze, easy for us to visualize it, and so that it becomes meaningful itself, all right. And data, and these data can be typically sorted based on what is the actual values, what is the count, what is the percentage, or it can be in the ascending order, or it can be in a descending order. Okay, or it can be in some kind of, you can have some variable, value labels and all these things. Based on that, we can also sort the data. So sorting helps us. You have to give a meaningful to that data, helps us to make a understand, analyze, and to visualize this particular data itself. Okay. Having said that, we move into classifying the data. So usually, if you see the data can be, structured data. Data can be some unstructured data. Data can be a semi-structured itself. So when you talk about structured data, suppose as your student, you have a name, you have an ID, you have an email, and all this. When I put into that, it becomes a structured data, right? Whenever you talk about unstructured data, we are talking about, some kind of chatting messages and all. When you chat the data. There is no kind of a structured with which we are doing, right? Semi-structure, like we are sending an email, and also we have a subject, right? We have we are to whom we are sending. There's a header, there's a footer, and all these things. So that's become a semi-structured data. So this structured or semi-structured data, it need to be organized. It need to be classified. Okay. It can be based on some type of the data. It can be based on the file of the data. It can be based on the contents. It can be other, metadata itself. So we need a well-planned, data classification system. So because classification data helps us in order to easily find data and retrieve it. Okay, so we are classifying into certain categories of the data. So it becomes easy. So, oh, I want this set of data. So I can easily go into that, classified, category data. I can easily extract it. So classification plays a very important role in data processing, right? Now, next comes is calculating. Right? Calculating is a process, okay, in through which we have a set of inputs, right, and we are transforming the set into some kind of, results itself. So if you see in the previous, we have that, data. We are collecting the data. We are recording the data in the form of, the calendar itself, right? Yes, you are classifying. Here we cannot say more about, classifying, but each day we are taking in a separate way, right? And then we see, you can sort the, it is an ascending order itself from day one to, day 31. And then we did some kind of calculation, right? Every day we are taking 1 liter of milk. So in 31st, we can see there are 31 liters of milk, and we have seen there is absentees of 3 liters, 3 days, so equal to 3 liters. Some excess amount, 4 days they are taken equivalent to 5 liters, and total comes out to be 33. So that's what the calculation is, right? So you're using some kind of arithmetic, logical, and other methods on the data in order to get the, desired output. And a desired output was, in that example, is that how many liters that we have taken in that particular month itself. Yes. So having said this, we're moving into retrieving of the data. So retrieving of the data is a process through which we are identifying, extracting the data, right? Where it is stored. So if you see the calendar in that example, if same thing we can store in some kind of database, right? So what is database? Database is nothing but, we are storing the data with the data having some kind of relationship. So we'll have that more discussion in the next particular session itself, right? So from there, we are trying to identify and extract the data. We are trying to query, right, based on some, what way we need to do. Okay, and then whatever data we retrieve, we try to display it, whether we are displaying in a monitor, or whether we are using in some kind of application. So retrieving is a process of, identifying and extracting the data, right, based on some kind of queries and all those things. Okay. So having said the next come to data summarizing is very important part. Okay. Because whenever you are getting a data, okay, it becomes a very comprehensive, is way in through which the data can be represented and becomes very informative way. Say, I want, the top five challenge, GPR, the gross, GRP, or you can say the some kind of ratings we are talking about, right? So top five, Sony Challenge, and you can say Max, SAT, SAP, Sony Watch, and all this thing. So what we are doing, you can easily see this data, and we can easily understand. Okay, so what kind of, if I take Say for example, in the left hand side, I'm talking about, the viewers. I'm just giving an example, okay? And here, what is the, viewers that we have? So we can have a comparative analysis of all these things, right? And this becomes easy for us in order to view and understand what exactly, the information that we are trying. Summarize something, some of the entire, things itself. So maybe in the last example, when we are talking about, milk and all this, we can summarize like that. Okay, so this time we have taken 33 liters of milk. We have gone with amount of budget of 1980, but usually budget was 1800, so we had an excess of 180. So that's what's the summarization, which helps us to actually give a understanding of that particular data itself. Okay, so having said this, next comes to communicating. The term data communication has two parts. If you see, one part is data, which we know, another process is communication. So data can be anything, right? File, video, audio, and all this. And communication is nothing but sending. So data communication is nothing but exchanging of data. It can be between two particular devices connecting with each other, machines and all, okay, and through which some kind of exchanging of some kind of masses through certain protocols, of which protocols means a set of certain rules through which we are communicating the data itself. Okay, right? So having said that, we have understood the data processing steps. Then we should go understanding data processing modes. There are three type of modes. So first we talk about batch processing. Usually in a batch processing, what we have is that, okay, we are trying to group the things, right? We are trying to group a particular set of data, and after that we like to process it without any kind of user intervention. That is what is called a batch. So we can see in the diagram itself, we have a certain set of jobs and all these things. So together, now we are taking, we are creating into a particular batch, right? And then the batch is fed and then it's been treated. But when you talk about uh, this interactive process in online shopping and all these things, where you are talking about the transaction processing, or we are talking about this transaction processing and all those things. So here actually you process the data whenever it appears, right? Yes, quickly. You're talking about a small app of online shopping. You can go, you can quickly click on the buy, and immediately the set of some kind of transaction is happening, and the set of data we can see that, okay, at the end this the order has been placed. These are my items and all these things. So this is online in an interactive way, right? Because you can have a you can look into the items, you can create a what a card, then whatever you can update a card, we can can reduce the, you can delete some, and then after that you can online, you can do buy it, you can payment it, okay, you can give a shipping address, everything, right? You're interacting mode way through which you can do that. Lastly is the real-time processing. Okay. So real-time processing, we are talking about some parallel event relationship, ongoing activities. And I will give a small example here. Even though if I written here air traffic signal, another example, if you see the bottling plant, the bottle will be coming, okay, and suppose the amount of cold drinks will be poured into it, okay, and then after the bottle will move out, and then again you will see one sort of machinery will come, and will try to create the what do you say, the cover of that particular bottle itself. I'm talking about cold drinks and all. So everything is is running in a parallel way, and if you see, everything is happening in the real time itself. Okay, if anything, only few second also there is the time when the bottle comes, the entire the pipe will be open, and what you say, the cold drink will flow inside. So any kind of simple second changes may detrimental. Why it may happen, the entire what you say, the cold drink may not enter into the bottle itself. Next, traffic signal also. Yes, it is a real time, because if you're talking about some aircraft in the ground, someone is ready to take off, someone is ready to Uh, 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 So this are the three, data processing modes. So we know about batch processing. We came to know about the online or real time, transition processing, and online processing, and lastly is the real time processing. So having said this, in this particular session, we have understood what is data processing, then were the steps of data processing, and lastly in the data processing modes, right? I hope you are clear with data processing itself. Thank you so much.